If you were following along with me in the previous lesson, you learned how to use the eyedropper and paint bucket tools to borrow colors or even object attributes from one object and apply them to another. What happens though if you want to fill up something with color and it's not an object? Well, in that case, you might like to know about the smartfill tool. That's what we're going to talk about in this lesson using the same file we were working on in the previous lesson. So if you've skipped to this lesson and you'd like to get caught up, go to the Lesson 6 folder of your exercise files if you've got them and open up eyedrop2.cdr, go to page 2, and you'll see what I see here. So we know that we can fill up an object quite easily. Let's click on the balloon. We'll go over to the color palette, click on a light gray, and it's filled just like that. We'll deselect to see the end result. Now what if we wanted to fill up something that's not necessarily an object, such as if I go over to the lynda.com logo and I want to fill up these yellow spaces here with something like white so it doesn't show through. Or maybe I want to add a little color to Lynda's face. Well, in that case, we're going to use our smartfill tool. First, so let's zoom into that area. I'm going to click my zoom tool and I'm going to zoom into this logo area right there. And now I'm going to go over to my smartfill tool. Now the smartfill tool is right here just below our freehand tool. And when we click on it, the property bar changes to give us fill and outline options. Here's where we get to choose the colors we're going to use for both the fill and the outline. Neat thing is though, it doesn't have to be an object. Let's say we wanted to get rid of this yellow. Well, we know that little sliver of yellow in there is not an actual object, but with the smartfill tool, it's treated like one. So let's say we want to fill that up with white and have no outline whatsoever. In that case, we go up to our fill options. When we click the drop down, we can use the default. So whatever our default fill color is for this particular project, it would be applied. Happens to be no fill at all. Same as our last choice down here. But if we want to specify a color, we have to make sure specify is selected, then click the color drop down, and here's where we get to choose the color. In this case, white, right at the very top. So I'm going to click on the white swatch. The outline, I'm going to specify as well. I could use the default outline, which is a hairline, black. I could choose no outline whatsoever, or specify a color. I'm going to choose no outline. So you can see now I don't have any drop downs here for the width or the color. So now all I have to do, still with my smartfill tool selected, is just click in the area that I want to apply that fill. So this little area here that's yellow is actually enclosed by its color. So when I click on it, you can see it turns white. Look inside the book here. I'm going to click there as well. In here between the book and Lynda's shoulder, and there's a little bit of yellow back here as well. I'm going to click there to remove that. And actually what's happening is that little area is being filled with our specified white, no outline properties. All right, let's try filling in Lynda's face and neck with a different color perhaps, just to add a little color to this logo. Well, in that case, with our smartfill tool selected, again, we want to specify a color. Let's go to a flesh tone color here. And as I scroll down, I don't really see anything that's ideal. So I can click Other here to access the Select Color dialog box where I've got models, mixers, and palettes to choose from. I'm going to go over to Mixers here. You can see I've got my CMYK model selected. I'm going to go over to one of these light flesh tone colors. I get to see a sample of it up here. Perfect. I'm going to click OK. I don't want any outline again. I just want to fill in some of these areas. So I'm going to click here on Lynda's forehead. You can see what happens. Fills in that area. Let's go over here to the ear and click on that. We'll leave the earring white. And there's a couple of other areas here that were used to create shadow effects. Down here on the neck area, we've got one more click to go. And you can see we've given her a little bit of a complexion. Looks very nice. And let's change the color of her collar now. I'm going to specify something different, like a nice dark blue. Right there. Click in the color area. Again, these are not necessarily objects. They're just closed in areas. And using the smartfill tool, we're easily able to fill those in just like that. Shift F4 will zoom us back out to see the end result. I'm going to go back to my pick tool and click out here. Now there's one other thing you should know that's happening when you use this tool. Let's go over to our freehand tool here just above the smartfill tool. And let's just draw a little line with a circle so that we close up this loop. Now we've got our enclosed area. We'll go over to our smartfill tool. I'm going to leave the color that's selected here for the fill color at dark blue. For the outline, I'm going to specify a different color. I'm going to specify a nice red, and I'm going to make it thick. So let's go up to 8 points and choose that red I was talking about. There we go. Now when I click inside this loop, I know it's going to be filled with my specifications, in this case dark blue with a thick red outline. But watch this, when we go over to our pick tool, we've actually created an object, meaning I can click and drag that away. That's what was filling up my loop. So I'm actually creating new objects when I do this. That means if I wanted to, I could delete the loop, and I've created my own custom shape. I'm going to click on that, delete it, and show you how you might want to use this. Here's an example. We'll click on the ellipse tool, hold down Control, and now I'm going to duplicate that. Control D on the keyboard creates a duplicate. I'm going to use those offsets, the defaults, and click OK. And now I'm going to move this over just to the right, and I want you to see that there's enclosed areas here in the middle and on the outsides. So in fact, if I just move this in a little bit further, I could create what looks like a crescent moon. So let's do that. We'll go over to our smartfill tool. I'm going to change that color on the inside to yellow, and on the outside I'm going to change that to black. So scroll way up to the top here. Doesn't need to be 8 points. I'm going to go down to 3 points, and I'm going to click inside this left-hand crescent moon area, just like that. You can see it's filled in, and remember what happened here. I've actually created an object, meaning I can click on my pick tool and move that away. Look at that. There's my circles left behind. I can marquee select those and delete them with my delete key on the keyboard, and I've created this new shape. I'm going to click again here. Just rotate it slightly. There we go. That looks good right there. Maybe a little bit more. Perfect. If I wanted to use the same yellow as down here, you know what to do. You're going to use your eyedrop tool, right? So we'll click on this object down here. Let's go to our paint bucket or eyedropper tool by holding it. Select that color. Back here, hold down the eyedropper, switch to the paint bucket, and click inside my moon. Matches perfectly. So there we go. Lots of little tricks for working with color. Now, keep in mind, with the smartfill tool, you're able to create your own shapes just by creating new objects after you smartfill an area. Whenever you need to fill up an area that's not necessarily an object but an enclosed area, the smartfill tool will save you lots of time and lots of effort.